Free agency is always a fascinating time in the NBA, but this year it does promise to be a little bit different. Few franchise-changing pieces are available, and even fewer teams have the gobs of money to spend. But if hoops history has taught us anything, it's to expect the unexpected. Because, who knows? Once the market opens up, we don't know what's going to happen. We could just be sitting there, and then we get that latest Woj bomb that surprises us all. In today's video, I'm telling you where 5 of the NBA's top free agents will sign. How's it going, everybody? This is Troy, host of the Half Court Report YouTube channel, and I am back again doing another video where I predict the destinations of some of this offseason's top free agents. So I've done a handful of these types of videos with different free agents already, and I'll link those in the description. You guys really seem to like this series, so I've got 5 new names for this video, and let me know in the comments who you want on your team, or maybe more importantly, who you definitely don't want on your team. Also, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel as well. Only takes a second, and it really helps this channel to grow. The first guy I'm going to talk about is Brandon Ingram of the New Orleans Pelicans. So after his first season in New Orleans, Ingram really showed that he's the type of player that we all thought he could be when he was drafted number 2 overall a few years ago. He improved in every major category. He was named to his first All-Star team, and this was the year that he really put it all together. And keep in mind, this is a guy who just turned 23 years old. The sky is the limit for him. So Ingram is a restricted free agent who's eligible for a max contract. And when you look at his numbers, when you look at his development, there's no way he's not going to get that max contract. The Pelicans putting a full 5-year maximum deal on the table as soon as the market opens feels like it's definitely going to happen. I really don't see any other option, to be honest. I've had lots of Knicks fans on this channel saying that they think Brandon Ingram will sign with New York, or that he has a chance to sign with New York. Guys, I love the optimism, but I see absolutely no way that happens. Because Brandon Ingram is a restricted free agent, the Pelicans are going to be able to match whatever offer he gets. Since they own his rights, that means they can also offer him more guaranteed years. Let's put Charlotte in that category along with the Knicks too. They could offer what the Knicks can and make him a franchise piece. Again though, unless Ingram comes out and says, I don't want to play in New Orleans, put me in a sign and trade to the Knicks, put me in a sign and trade to the Hornets, then he's going to be a Pelican next year. On the subject of bird mascots, let's look at Jeff Teague with the Atlanta Hawks. Teague is a solid veteran point guard. He's a former All-Star. He's best suited to come off the bench at this point in his career, and he can do that pretty effectively in spurts too. He was in a trade from Minnesota that sent him back to the Hawks this past season, and I really don't think he was too good of a fit with Atlanta his second time around with that franchise. There is reason, though, to believe he's still capable of being a productive player, as evidenced by his time in Minnesota, though. Trae Young still needs a backup, so even though he wasn't that great with the Hawks, I feel like the Hawks would still have some level of interest in bringing Jeff Teague back on a short-term deal to fill that role and maybe hope that he can play at the level that he showed during the first half of the season. If we're going to go with more of a veteran team, then the Clippers make some sense to me. They showed in the playoffs that not having a guy who can run the team while Kawhi Leonard and Paul George focus on scoring was a real detriment to their play. I think they're going to change that and rectify that in the offseason. Orlando has also made some sense to me because of DJ Augustine becoming a free agent, and they're going to need a backup point guard for Markelle Fultz. Next up, what do you guys think of Nerlens Noel, the center for the Oklahoma City Thunder? Nerlens has quietly become a very effective rebounder and defender off the bench, and his athleticism has transferred to the way the game is played today. He's able to blitz ball handlers, he's able to get back to his assignment, and he can do all this all while running the floor, finishing at the rim. His per 36-minute averages are pretty good. Almost 14 points per game, over 10 rebounds per game, 2 steals, 3 blocks. And he's still young too, only 26 years old. He could fit in with both a rebuilding team or a contending team. I don't see him going back to the Thunder. The Golden State Warriors could make some sense for Noel. Maybe he could even start for them, playing high-level defense, finishing off missed shots at the rim. I also like him in Houston as a rim runner in the Clint Capella mold. A lot of you guys say in the comments, Houston's playing small ball. Yeah, but we saw what happened in the playoffs. You can't have PJ Tucker playing center the entire year. You got to have somebody who's about 7 feet tall. With Houston, he can work inside while the other guys jack up the threes. And I think the Lakers make some sense too. That's another body to put at the 5, so Anthony Davis can stay at the 4, which he prefers. And also, LeBron has a knack for getting the best out of his teammates, so Noel might be a nice reclamation project for them. Let's talk about Tim Hardaway, the shooting guard with the Dallas Mavericks too. So Tim Hardaway Jr. has a few options this offseason. He can choose to pick up his nearly $19 million player option to stay with the Mavericks. He can opt out and re-sign on the longer-term deal, or he can look elsewhere in free agency. I don't think any team is crazy enough to offer him more than the $19 million that he's set to pick up for next season, but NBA teams do crazy things all the time, so we never know. This past season, Hardaway was a reliable third scorer and spot-up shooter for Dallas. He just feasted off passes from Luka, knocking down 42% of his catch-and-shoot threes during the regular season. And with a great coaching staff, the chance to play with one of the best players in the league, and a guaranteed $19 million next season, I really don't think there's much of a reason for Hardaway to leave the Mavericks. But who knows? Maybe Hardaway decides to roll the dice. Maybe he wants a longer-term deal somewhere. The Pacers could make some sense. Oladipo's future is up in the air. Jeremy Lamb is going to be out next year with those knee injuries, so they'll need some help at the 2. I'm also putting the Spurs on here as well. They'll have some open spots at the 2 guard as well. And Hardaway, hey, you won't have to drive his moving van very far from Dallas to San Antonio. Finally, we've got Jerami Grant with the Denver Nuggets, and this one is also a player option. Jerami Grant could opt to remain with Denver on a $9.3 million deal, but he could say to himself, let me opt out, sign somewhere else, sign a longer-term deal, and I'll end up earning more money. I've said before, with the weaker free agent class this year, Grant might be able to cash in. He's a really athletic player. He can stretch the floor a bit as a big guy as well. If you'll remember, Denver traded a first-round pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder before last season to get him. So they have quite a bit invested in Jerami Grant already, so they might opt to re-sign him to a longer deal if he does indeed opt out. Jerami Grant can start. He can come off the bench for them if they want to go with Michael Porter Jr. as a starter long-term. As far as other teams, I think the Suns make some sense. He could start right away with DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker, and also could be a pretty reliable starter at the 4. And also, what about the Blazers? Let's throw them out. They really need some front court help. Jerami Grant isn't the type of player who's going to take a lot of shots away from Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. I think he could really fit into their roster well. That's what I think, but let me know in the comments what you think of these potential free agent moves. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching. This is Troy with the Half Court Report, and I'll see you next time.